G'day and welcome to the video. It's time for hardcore run number 4. No change from our third hardcore run in terms of modpack modules, shaders and resource packs. Our setup criteria don't change either. So it's time to head into our new world. I've avoided a snowy biome again, so it's time to pillar up and get a slightly better look at what we have around us. One dirt and sand pillar later, and we get a clear look at what's in our immediate vicinity. I don't know if that hill is big enough to count as a mountain, but we definitely have plains, a river, and off further in the distance, a mixed forest. With our bearings sorted, it's time to hop down and start exploring. Punching trees and grass means we have wooden tools and seeds, so we head towards the mountain as a likely source of stone when we spot a ruined portal. A mending helmet, protection 2 chest plate, some obsidian, and a couple of fair golden swords. It's a great pickup. While exploring for stone, we find something we don't want to deal with right now. So, we'll keep moving on. Soon enough, our quiet bravery is rewarded with coal just inside a cave on the mountain. That means torches, and we're set for some more detailed exploring. That cave didn't turn up much else, and coming back towards spawn in the early evening, we're yet to secure any wool for a bed. We've had plenty of cows and horses around the area, but nothing as yet of the woolly persuasion. Taking a risk and pushing my exploration over the backside of the mountain into the long shadows, and I spot sheep hanging out in a nearby forest. I spot some more sheep on the edge of a nearby ravine, and soon I've collected my bedding. The timing couldn't have been more perfect. Stars decorate the now dark sky as I craft my bed and get some well-earned sleep. Since there's a lack of trees around the spawn, I spend the next morning collecting timbers from this little forest before heading back and sorting out my goodies. I set up my early stage crafting, storage, refining and cooking area, and even go so far as to put a grill on my smoker. After planting some basic crops and lighting up the spawn tower, I return to exploring the area. Finding a nice supply of iron ore and armed with a torch, I engage in a bit of night mining. As can be seen by the glowing blob, I'm not that far from base, but once the mining is done, I put the bed down on the side of the mountain and sleep there. I head over the mountain and spend the next day fighting mobs, harvesting meat, enjoying the view, and eventually making my way back to spawn. After a peaceful sleep back at spawn, it's time to actually start building the base, making use of all the timbers I've been gathering along the way. I still haven't locked down my hardcore base design at this point, but based on the terrain around spawn, I think this is going to be a nice riverside cottage. In the process of sorting out resources, I get a visit from one of my regular early game visitors. Trade negotiations are short and to the point, as usual, leaving me with leather and leads. I head back to explore the ravine I'd encountered on the first night and am rewarded with large quantities of easily accessible ore. After a couple of days in the depths of the cavern, I emerged to a rainy walk back to the base. Other than the occasional mob in the cave, this trip has been fairly safe. I pour a lot more work into building base, and it's drifting a long way from a simple riverside cottage, starting to look like some sort of ultra-modern eyesore. Even though there's not much to it at the moment, there's enough to work out what's going to be where. This will be the lounge and formal entry off the fancy front door, complete with copper decoration, and there's the living areas off to the right. This attached double garage is going to be where my storage goes, and where I park my horse. There's been surprisingly few mobs to bother me, so when a creeper comes to check me out while I add to the living areas of the base, I'm not bothered. A modern monstrosity requires massive amounts of diorite, copper and dripstone, so that means a lot more time back in that ravine. I also need quite a lot of cobble, since I'm using my decent coal supplies to give my base a stone brick footing. I'm not really using andesite at the moment, but I suspect that it will go well as a roofing material and give a nice contrast with the diorite walls. The same goes for granite. I don't currently have a use for it, but I'd rather have it in storage and not need it than to need it and to have to come back for it. Now that I've gathered what I want from near ground level, it's time to enter the ravine proper. The diorite reserves, which I'm really after, are deeper into the ravine. Aside from that lost sheep a second ago, there's only the sound of a single zombie, but since it's not readily visible, it's not a concern right now. Just having broken a pick, I realised I've forgotten to fill my inventory with picks before this trip. Well, at least one of the two I have left is a brand new iron pick. That last stone pick breaks and I'm still in the diorite vein. Thinking laterally, I'm going to use some of my coal to create more picks, and I'll carry on that way. A good thing I packed my crafting table. With new picks literally in hand, I restock my cobble supplies and take the opportunity to go and look further into the ravine. Working down at the dripstone levels, I find that it opens up into a nice steep cave at the lower levels. All that ore I can see is enticing, so I'm sure I'm headed in there. It's also the deep slate transition, and since there's no reason to take any extra risks, I carefully dig a staircase down. I break out onto a small dripstone platform and can see that there's still a long way down. There's also a nice big waterfall on the other side of the cavern. And plenty of ores coming out as soon as I dig past the dripstone. I keep staircasing down, picking ores out of the wall as I go. I've made it behind the lava fall and have a nice collection of resources for my trouble. Time has little meaning in the underground. I mean, it has been a tiring day of digging, so what better place for a sleep? I guess it was night time outside. My haul is looking really good already. I'll be making good progress on the base with all that diorite, andesite and dripstone. Even that deep slate will be useful. I do have a shortage of picks though, so it's best I craft some more before I carry on mining. The bottom of the cavern is now clearly in sight, and the staircasing is going well. I check to see if there's any chance of dive bombing mobs, and it looks okay. After a little more effort I reach, well, it's not quite the bottom, it's where the lava fall takes a bit of a direction change. Close enough. While clearing out the ores I didn't pick up, I'm rewarded with, well, a mini iron vein. Given that it's not the main ore I'm chasing on this visit, I'll take whatever's on offer. The inventory is starting to look really full. Practically, I've got 2 stacks of storage left, accounting for pick breakage. Most of the resources I've gathered aren't at their full stack levels, but I'm going to get into trouble if I hit things I haven't harvested, like diamond, redstone, or gold. I exhaust the iron vein with just a touch of inventory space left and go back into the main cavern to consider my options. In something of a prescient decision, I stopped to check my armour stats. A full shield in my inventory, but Prot 2 on the golden chest plate isn't too bad. Neither is mending on the full-strength golden helmet. I almost look like I'm equipped for basic hostile mobs. Oddly enough, the one resource I completely lack is sticks. So, as I climb back up a little way to continue lighting against mob spawns, I can see what's going to get me out of the cave. A shortage of torches. I head back to the bottom of the cave in a desperate effort to light up as much area as I can with a few torches left. I see that zombie coming at me, but the skeleton lobbing arrows at me, much harder to make out. Thankfully, as I back up, they both move forward into better light. I take care of the zombie and get ready to take on the skeleton. My rule of thumb for skeletons in caves is there's always a second skeleton. Well, this comes true as I cop an arrow in my side from a second skeleton. I don't remember having a rule about flanking zombies though. Well, with half a heart left and being flanked, I don't think I'm going to live long enough to know. Yes, I see that creeper has joined the fun, and this backward hopping is actually achieving something. Just got to keep that shield up. Oh, I missed a step and quickly carve a new one. Do I have enough time for chicken? No. No, I do not. That's a bit rude. Being killed by a mob that wasn't part of the fun to begin with. Well, according to our rules, that's it for this world. Because it was a short world, the next one is another hardcore world. We'll see you then.